The White House is furious over Republicans' latest dirty trick, which is to show people videos of Joe Biden.
There seems to be a sort of rash of videos that have been edited to make the president appear especially frail or mentally confused. I'm wondering if the White House is especially worried about the fact that this appears to be a pattern that we're seeing more and more.
Yeah, and I think you all have called this the cheap fakes video, and that's exactly what they are. They are cheap fakes video. They are done in bad faith, and some of your news organization have been very clear, have stressed that these the right wing critics of the president have a credibility problem because of the fact checkers have repeatedly caught them pushing misinformation, disinformation, and so we see this, and this is something coming from your part of the world, calling them cheap fakes and misinformation. And I'll quote the Washington Post, where they wrote about this, and they said how Republicans use misleading videos to attack Biden in a 24-hour period.
I'm going to quote the Washington Post, and these are misleading, and and you guys have pointed out how bad and misleading, but what, they're just videos, right? You'll notice the White House press secretary does not call the videos deep fakes. She calls them cheap fakes. It's a little play on words, because she can't say deep fakes, because deep fakes refers to a specific kind of computer manipulated video. And these are not computer manipulated videos. They're not really manipulated at all. And she's still lying by calling them fakes of any kind, because, as RNC Research has pointed out, RNC Research posts a lot of these videos that are being promoted. The videos are unedited, unfiltered, and publicly available. It's not even as though the videos were taken surreptitiously. They're publicly available. RNC Research just says, hey, here's Biden looking pitiful. Hey, here's Biden freezing up. Hey, here's Biden stammering over his words. Hey, here's Biden about to be defeated by a flight of stairs. And the greatest irony of the whole thing is that the term fake news has finally come full circle. Total boomerang. The term fake news, a lot of people forget, took off around 2016 when liberals complained that conservative news sites were popular on social media. So they made a spreadsheet that went viral listing the sites that they hated, DailyWire among them, even though DailyWire had been around for about 6 months at that point. And they called those sites fake news. Then Trump flipped it. He pointed out that the real fake news outlets are places like the New York Times and the Washington Post and the TV networks, which regularly lie on behalf of Democrats. At which point, the libs flipped and bemoaned the phrase fake news, the phrase that they themselves had popularized as a dangerous attack on the supposedly intrepid journalists of the Fourth Estate. But now, after spending years lamenting the notion of fake news, the libs in both the government and the liberal press are embracing it once again. And this time, they aren't even using it to attack conservative-leaning news outlets. This time, the libs have gotten so brazen that they are calling simple videos of Joe Biden fake. Because for the libs, the only real and legitimate news is the kind that has been manipulated and even suppressed by the supposed journalists. I'm Michael Knowles. This is The Michael Knowles Show. Logan Paul has just asked President Trump his thoughts on UFOs. We'll get to that in one moment. First, though, I just want to set the mood in my studio with my brand new candle. So there's a new website, because my candles are so popular and they keep selling out at the Daily Wire, that there's a whole new company. It's called thecandleclub.com. Go to thecandleclub.com. You got to have the in there. This candle is my seasonal candle. It's Sicilian summer. And it smells like a zesty little citrus delight. We're going to light that up. I've got other candles. We've got the PSL candle, very popular. We have the Wise Man, which is a riff on my extremely popular Lenten candle, Smells and Bells. Wise Man, really, really good. Then we've got an old waspy New England kind of candle called Old Soul. We got a lot of candles. We have the creamy candle for the crème de la crème. We got a lot. Plus, we have Mayflower cigar candles. Those are super premium candles in beautiful colored glass jars. They're just really great stuff. So go to thecandleclub.com right now, especially get Sicilian summer before it runs out. And if you're a big fan of Smells and Bells, make sure you order Wise Man immediately. Speaking of setting the mood, you ought to check out Roe Sparks. Men, have you heard of Roe Sparks? Go to roe.co/Knowles right now. This dual action prescription merges the powerhouse ingredients found in generic Viagra and Cialis, sildenafil and tadalafil into one formidable treatment-afil. But it's not merely the ingredients in the medication, it's how you're taking it. That is why Roe Sparks is designed to dissolve under your tongue. That's huge because dissolvable treatment hits your bloodstream faster than the old school pills. Roe Sparks keeps you present with your partner. Partner is a term we once called a spouse. So it will keep you present with your spouse instead of waiting for a pill to work. Roe Sparks leverages the benefits of sublingual administration, meaning the tablet dissolves under your tongue. This method allows for fast absorption directly into the bloodstream, bypassing the digestive system. The result, quicker onset of action, reducing the wait time typically associated with pills. Plus, tadalafil is really funny to say, and it's the active ingredient in Cialis, which lasts in the system for up to 36 hours. So when the mood is right, you will be ready without another dose. For treatment that works fast and lasts long, connect with a provider at roe.co/Knowles to find out if Roe Sparks are right for you. ro.co/Knowles, roe.co/Knowles. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Only available for prescribed after an online consultation with a provider. Cheap fakes, except they're not fake. They're not manipulated at all. Mike Lee, the great Utah senator, has a wonderful thread on X just showing all these sorts of videos that the White House is lamenting and calling cheap fakes, but it's just video of Biden. It's not even edited. In fact, the only videos that really seem to have a heavy hand of editing on them are the Democrats' attempts to spin the videos that make Biden look bad. Here's a great example, and this is the latest one of these to go viral. Biden was just with Obama and Jimmy Kimmel in LA at a major Democrat fundraiser. And they filled up the auditorium. I'm sure they raised a lot of money out in La La Land. And then at the end, Biden seemed to freeze up on stage. Here, we have a clip of it. So there's Biden and Obama. They're waving to the crowd. Is that Kimmel in the background? Absolute toady and sycophant for the liberal establishment. There he is. There's Obama. He's still doing crowd work. And there's Biden just totally frozen up. Then Barack Obama reaches down, grabs Joe's hand, starts pulling him off stage, and then, so devastating, Biden's walking off like a confused grandpa, which he is, and there's Obama with his hand on Joe's back, pushing him, guiding him. This way, grandpa, this way. He doesn't even let off, even as they approach the stage curtain. Even as the curtain's coming down, Biden is still keeping his hand on Joe's back, even moves it to his lower back to have even more control. No, this way, Joe, this way, grandpa. Really paints a picture. A lot of people have suggested that Barack Obama is still having a lot of influence in Washington, D.C. A lot of his old apparatchiks have roles in the Biden administration. Well, this is the perfect visual expression of that. Obama literally guiding Joe Biden around, pushing him around. So that's the video that's gone viral. It's just a video of the two of them walking off a stage. Here is the video that the Democrats want to show you of the exact same event. This is why they're calling the Republican video a cheap fake. Here's what they show. And if you're watching the show right now, you can see them side by side. If you're only listening, I'll narrate it for you in my mellifluous dulcet tones. It's okay. There we go. Obama waving. You can see this is perfectly time synced up. Biden freezes. Oop! Camera angle cuts away. Now it cuts to behind the crowd. You can barely see Obama and Biden on stage anymore. That's that big, big wide shot. Then, the minute it cuts back in, Obama and Biden are walking off stage. So this is the Democrat cut, trying to minimize even the appearance of Obama's hand on Biden. That's what they say, that's the true video. No, that's the one with all the cuts. That's the one with the heavy editing. The Republican video has basically no editing at all. It's just one camera angle. Even this is true on any show. Just to keep things visually interesting, we'll have a couple cameras going on. You know, I've got one right down the barrel that I talk to on this show, but we've got a camera on a dolly over here. Sometimes we have a third camera, sometimes even a fourth camera, and it keeps things visually interesting. But all those multiple cameras can be used to paint a different picture. If for instance, I, like Joe Biden, just froze up one day, and said, they'd probably cut to different camera angles or try to fix it. That's what the Democrats are doing here. The most honest video is the Republican video. That's the one we're told is fake, because for the libs, the only legitimate news has to come through the official establishment propaganda outlets, which work in tandem with the White House. That's why it's the propaganda outlets, the supposed intrepid journalists, who are bringing this up. They're saying, are you worried at the White House about all of these very embarrassing videos that those awful, evil Republicans keep sharing? Why, yes, we are. And that's why we're using the same term that you guys cooked up to discredit those videos, because we're working together, basically. And you, Washington Post, New York Times, and CNN and NBC, you're just our publicists. The Washington Post and Karine Jean-Pierre have the same job, and that's to carry water for Trump. For Biden, rather. If only they were carrying water for Trump. You'll see a very different relationship between the White House and the press if, and I hope when, President Trump does return to the Oval Office. Now, this stuff isn't really playing. Even though the libs are trying to cover up all the bad stuff, it's not working. The Trump message is getting through. Biden continues to lag in the polls. And even some of the left-wing propaganda outlets are openly worrying about this. CNN's chief data reporter has observed that Trump's spike among black voters doesn't seem to be an aberration. It doesn't seem to just be a little blip on the radar. It seems persistent.
I keep looking for this to change, to go back to a historical norm, and it simply put has not yet. So this is the margin, or Biden and Trump among black voters, compare where we were at this point in 2020, compare where we are now. You know, at this point, look at this. In 2020, Joe Biden was getting 86% of the African-American vote. Look at where it is now. It's 70%. That's a 16-point drop, John. And more than that, it's not just that Joe Biden is losing ground, it's that Donald Trump is gaining ground. You go from 7%, single digits at this point in 2020, to now 21%. And again, John, I keep looking for signs that this is going to go back to normal, and I don't see it yet in the polling. If anything, right now we're careening towards a historic performance for a Republican presidential candidate, the likes of which we have not seen in 6 decades.
This is just a week or two after CNN observed a 20-point shift among Hispanic voters. Now, still, Joe Biden has a bare majority of Hispanic support. He has about 51% among Hispanics. But that represents a shift of 20 percentage points in Trump's favor. And now, a week or two later, they're showing another major historic shift among black voters. So you'd say, look, 70% of black voters are still voting for Democrats. That is shocking. Democrats still own the black vote. Sure, yeah, it's true. It's a shocking number. But if Trump can pull anywhere near 21% of the black vote, especially in the key counties, in the key swing states, that's the election. The election's done. And that, of course, is why they're freaking out. I was with CNN in that when I saw this show up in the polls, I thought, here's another blip. We've been told for years and years now, this is the year Republicans pull the black voters over. It would be the first year since the 1940s, but okay, yeah, maybe. Well, it keeps showing up, as the CNN data analyst observes. It keeps showing up persistently, again and again and again. This might not be a blip. Even forget about black people or Hispanic people or what the particular aspects of those identities and communities. The fact that the most Democrat reliable constituencies are shifting over to Trump, according to all the polls in huge numbers, signals a major, major challenge for Biden. And so what the Democrats have to be thinking now is we must reduce the voice of the people in this election. That is why Joe Biden proposed these debates with Trump that are not part of the Presidential Commission on Presidential Debates. He's proposed these debates that are going to be run by CNN and I think ABC News. And the debates are not going to have people at them because the Democrats fear that the people are going to applaud for Trump and boo Joe Biden. These debates are going to mute microphones. So Trump, much quicker on his feet, not only than Biden, but than really any Democrat candidate in my lifetime. Maybe Bill Clinton had a similar quick-wittedness, but Clinton's long out of it. So all those little zingers, remember in the 2016 debates, I don't want to live in a country where Donald Trump is president. Yeah, because you'd be in jail. Boom, zing, done. You remember even during the primary debates, you've called women all sorts of terrible names. Only Rosie O'Donnell. Boom, zing. These are really quick-witted responses. You're not going to see any of that in the coming debate between Biden and Trump because Biden can't compete on the wit. So they're going to mute their microphones. You're not going to hear any of it. And Biden can't compete on the people, so they're not going to let the people into the debate. And it's going to be liberal news outlets who are coming up with the questions and asking the questions and enforcing the time limits. So they're doing everything they can to protect Biden. And the way they're going to protect Biden now is not by rallying the hordes of people. Even the usual Democrat mobs that they call up every 4 years during the elections, the BLM mob, say, even they are turning on the Democrats because this year it's the campus intifada. It's these pro-Palestine people who hate Biden because they blame Biden for how the war in Gaza is being conducted. The only way that the Democrats are going to win is through suppression. Now, I want you to continue to hear this show. We have noticed a little bit of social media chicanery as the election ramps up. We've noticed a little bit of a hand on some of our social media platforms. So it's more important than ever. Subscribe to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel. Smash the subscribe button. Ding the bell. Maybe we'll still be suppressed, but worth giving us the best shot possible to get the word out. The chief strategy is suppression, and the chief instance of this strategy is the prosecution of Donald Trump. They want to throw the guy into prison. So now that they managed to get convictions on 34 felonies, we don't even know what the underlying crime was. No Democrat can tell us what it is. Biden is running with it. He's got a new ad that he's putting $50 million behind. And the ad is that Trump is a felon.
In the courtroom, we see Donald Trump for who he is. He's been convicted of 34 felonies, found liable for sexual assault, and he committed financial fraud. Meanwhile, Joe Biden's been working, lowering healthcare costs and making big corporations pay their fair share. This election is between a convicted criminal who's only out for himself and a president who's fighting for your family.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Okay, there it is. This is the most boomer, boring political ad you've ever seen. Classic. We've seen the same ad for decades now. The opponent is a bad man. Dark music, gloomy voice, bad, bad, bad. But our candidate is a good man. Happy music, bright color. Vote for our candidate, not our opponent. Brought to you by Boomers for TV ads. And so that's it. This is the test of the Democrat strategy. $50 million behind it, as generic an ad as you could ever see. So you can't really blame the ad for the failure of this strategy. This is the culmination of the strategy to suppress Trump, then to prosecute him, then to convict him for felonies that we can't even quite name. This is it. Does this play in Peoria? Does imprisoning your political rival help you win elections? The Democrats have bet pretty much everything that it does. The polling that we've seen does not suggest that it does. Poll after poll show the majority of Americans believe that the prosecution of Trump was primarily motivated by partisan politics. The polls that we've seen in recent weeks, major shift of Hispanics to Trump, major shift of black voters to Trump, major shift in the swing states. It's not even a shift. The swing states have been almost uniformly for Trump. He's had an advantage now for months. We'll see. $50 million behind this ad. Does it pay off? If it does, okay. It was a risky bet, and it upended 234 years of American political tradition. It's probably fundamentally degraded our constitutional order, but hey, at least the Democrats are going to have an easier chance winning an election. If it doesn't pay off, though, what a beautiful, poetic justice that we're seeing. The Democrats were willing to destroy the country just to gain a little bit of an electoral advantage, and in the end, it might have actually hurt them at the polls. We'll find out. I'm not going to be the Pollyanna one over here, or rosy glasses to say that everything Biden tries doesn't work. No, it might work. Imprisoning your opponents has been a tried and true political strategy around the world for many centuries now. Does it work here? Does it work now? I'm skeptical that it does, but we'll see. A $50 million June ad buy is a great way to test it out. Now, it's not all negative stuff coming out of the Biden administration. It's 99.99999% negative stuff. There's one good thing coming out of the Biden administration, and it's out of a role that really has nothing to do with Joe Biden. That would be out of the Surgeon General's office. Surgeon General calling for a warning label on social media for young people. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy. The Vivek name is getting very popular. I was under the impression that my friend Vivek Ramaswamy, he was like the only Vivek I had ever met in my life. Vivek's getting very popular in politics, especially Ramaswamy. But now Murthy too calls for a mandatory warning label on social media, warning about the mental health risks for teenagers. He writes, the mental health crisis among young people is an emergency. Social media has emerged as an important contributor. True. It's time to require a Surgeon General's warning label on social media platforms stating that social media is associated with significant mental health problems for adolescents. Very true. A Surgeon General's warning label, which requires congressional action, would regularly remind parents and adolescents that social media has not been proved safe. I am 100% for this. He's absolutely right. And frankly, it should go further. Because we don't only have a Surgeon General's warning label on cigarettes and booze and substances like that. We also have laws that prohibit minors from accessing these things. And we should have the same for social media. And maybe it can vary by the state. I would have no problem with a federal law about this, though, just as we have federal laws about tobacco and booze. Young people, really young people, should not be permitted on these platforms. It causes major mental health crises, all sorts of body issues. It's obviously behind the major drive of the ideology and a lot of the other LGBT, LMNOP nonsense. But it comes with all other sorts of things. There's a ton of cyberbullying, a lot of body dysmorphia, young girls wanting to look pencil thin and engage in all sorts of depraved behaviors as obscenity spreads on these platforms. Now, some of the platforms are openly saying, yeah, we welcome obscenity onto the platform, and we're going to try to put some limits in, but it's not really going to work. Kids should just be banned from this stuff. I will almost certainly not give my children a smartphone when they reach, who knows what the technology will be at that age, but I wouldn't give them a smartphone because of this, because of the predators that are lurking on these platforms. Love it. Surgeon General, keep it up. Congress, you should definitely put the warning label. And frankly, let's just ban it for young kids. Now, speaking of health, you ought to check out Lumen. Go to lumen.me, use promo code Knowles. Folks, it is tough to prioritize your health, especially if you're not sure where to start. It's not just about making a decision, it's about making a commitment to a better quality of life. That's why I love Lumen, because if you're going to make that kind of commitment, you want it to be easy and cool, and that is exactly what Lumen is. So easy and cool that even I can do it and provides me with extremely valuable information. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It is a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen. First thing in the morning, you will know what is going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. What sets it apart is its ability to understand you on a personal level. So it takes those unique metabolic data, crafts a personalized nutrition plan for that day, tailored to your body's needs and goals. I really love it. You can breathe into it, then you get all the info on your phone. And especially for me, I don't really go to the doctor's office too often. Gives you that info really, really quickly. If you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me, use code Knowles, get $100 off your Lumen. That is LUMEN.ME. Use Knowles at checkout for $100 off. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this show. Speaking of kids, MSNBC has the most depraved column of the week. Should have gotten to this yesterday, but I don't want it to be too far from Father's Day when we point out that MSNBC ran a column for Father's Day titled, Happy Father's Day to the Men Who Knew They Weren't Ready to Be Dads. Subheader, in a post-Roe world, we recognize the men who knew expanding their family was not tenable, and the men who knew delaying parenthood was a form of family planning. I think you get where this is going. It is a column celebrating the fathers who murdered their children. This is how it opens. I'll just read you the first few lines here. Father's Day festivities at my Brooklyn home are wholesome and joyful, a privilege. This year, my 9-year-old and my 5-year-old will present their father with handmade cards and a framed gift. I'll give my husband a well-earned bottle of whiskey and a thank you for being the equal parenting partner. Feminist language is just awful. My equal partner, not my husband, not the father. No, my equal partner. And the dad our boys deserve, the type of father I never had. I'll also take a moment to think about a different man who, like me, knew he wasn't ready to be a parent, not yet. A man who 14 years ago held my hand through a 7-minute surgical that gave us both the chance to go our separate ways and be the parents we are today. Okay, so she's thanking this guy that knocked her up 14 years ago, and she's going to think on Father's Day, she'll think of her husband and she'll think of her children, and she'll also think of the man who helped her murder their child 14 years ago. And that's these dads deserve to be honored on Father's Day too, because they made the courageous choice to murder their kids. The irony with this, it's that in celebrating these fathers, these murderous, infanticidal fathers on Father's Day, the liberals are proving that they don't really believe their own propaganda. Because the liberal propaganda, remember, is that the babies aren't really babies. So the mother isn't really a mother. When she's not really murdering her child. It's just a surgical procedure to remove the products of pregnancy. And we won't say exactly what the products of pregnancy are. And if we do, we'll use euphemisms like fetus and embryo, which are just stages of human development. But we'll just try to pretend that it's not a human and it's not alive. And we'll pretend that the father has no rights here. Who cares? It's just my body, my choice. It has nothing to do with the father, except, well, no, we should celebrate this father who supported me in not taking responsibility for our decisions and who supported me in killing the child that we shared, who's now dead. And we're going to celebrate him on Father's Day. Why Father's Day? To celebrate these guys on Father's Day is to admit that the baby was a baby. Because if the baby wasn't a baby, then the guy wouldn't be a father. What about on Mother's Day? Does she think about this guy on Mother's Day? Does she think about the kid she killed on Mother's Day? I don't know. I don't see any columns about that on MSNBC. It's very dark and sad, but it is at least refreshing that unwittingly they're admitting that their propaganda is BS. They do the same stuff with gay marriage and with the ideology. I guess with all up to and including killing your own kid. Gay marriage is it's just the same as regular marriage. It's just marriage. Love is love is love is love. And that's why they need to march about it all the time. And that's why they need to force you to affirm it. And that's why they need to punish you if you in any way point out that men and women are different. Same thing with a woman is a real woman. And that's why they need to tell you all the time. Except by using the phrase woman, they're acknowledging that a woman is a distinct category of person from a woman. Because if they weren't a distinct type of person, they wouldn't need the modifier. By referring to same-sex marriage or marriage equality or whatever the euphemism du jour is, they're acknowledging that this type of union is in fact different from a marriage. And the person is in fact different. Woman is in fact different from the woman. Man is in fact different from the man. Because they aren't rebelling against us, these libs. They're not rebelling against the conservatives, the traditionalists, the old fogies. They're rebelling against nature. That's why the language trips them up. That's why they step on the rhetorical rake of celebrating dads who murder their kids on Father's Day, even while simultaneously trying to argue that the kids they murder aren't really kids. Because they're rebelling against nature. They're rebelling against reality and against, therefore, against the God who created nature. That's really what it's about. So they yell at us like a person shoots the messenger. We're just telling you marriage has a meaning. We're just telling you men and women are actually different. We're just telling you the babies are babies. Don't shoot the messenger. They do want to shoot the messenger, but ultimately it's because they're rebelling against a fact that is far longer established than we are, and against a being who is far more powerful than we are as well. Now, speaking of Father's Day, Chuck Schumer, poor Chuck Schumer, Senate Majority Leader, posted a picture that was so cringe he had to delete it. To delete something on social media, it's got to be pretty bad if you're going to delete it. And this is what he posted a picture of himself in a t-shirt grilling. And Schumer says, our family has lived in an apartment building for all our years, but my daughter and her wife just bought a house with a backyard, and for the first time, we're having a barbecue with hot dogs and hamburgers on the grill. Father's Day heaven. But then you zoom in, and there's Schumer, like every out-of-touch politician, holding the burger on the spatula, and you got hot dogs, which look pretty well cooked. They've got the grill marks on them, but then you've got raw burger patties, and then you got a slice of cheese on the raw burger patty, because Chuck Schumer's never grilled anything in his life. And this looks totally, to use a phrase from the Utes, it looks totally Now, for more authentic conversations, we turn to Logan Paul, famous YouTuber, interviewing President Trump about aliens.
You have no idea how many times I'm asked that question.
But don't you have access to that information?
I have access, and I speak to people about it. I've had actually meetings on it, and they will tell you there's something going on. When they say things are going 4 times faster than my beautiful top-of-the-line airplane that goes, real fast.
With no identifiable propulsion
Mach
system.
2,
yeah.
right?
These things are creating their own gravity fields, allegedly.
Well, they have people that are very smart and very solid have said they believe there is something out there. And, it makes sense that there could be. I've never been convinced, even despite that. I just, for some reason, it's not my thing. But a lot of people believe that it's true. A lot of very good, solid people believe it's true.
What? And
I know there are illegal aliens out there, but those are the ones that come through the border. We have plenty of them. Those are the ones I know. When you say aliens, I say, are they illegal aliens? These might be illegal, but we don't want to test them.
Yeah.
Because if they can go 4 times faster, we're not going to test them.
Perfect answer. It's the perfect answer. Not just because it's funny. He's a funny guy. He was a top entertainer in America for decades. Not just because he's saying, look, I love these people. Everyone who's saying these things, they're great. We like them. Politics is the art of inclusion. He's trying to bring people in. The reason this is such a good answer is because the UFO stuff is extremely stupid, and UFOs aren't real. Like, UFOs are real. There are certain things in the air that we don't know what they are, or some people do know what they are, and perhaps it's just classified information, or for whatever reason remains clandestine. But ET is not real. There's no such thing as a Martian. And so what Trump does adeptly and winsomely is he redirects the conversation to a real issue. He goes, I know about illegal aliens. That's a real problem. That is a real problem. In fact, that issue is at or very near the top of most people's policy priority list. The fact that there's an invasion across our southern border, and it's creating social strife, and it's damaging the economy, and it's damaging the social fabric, that's a real issue. Martians, ET, that's a fake news distraction from the libs. It's demons for atheists at best. And Trump says, yeah, no, I don't know. Look, I don't know. It's not really my thing. I don't really believe in ET. But I do believe in Pablo, the illegal alien who's coming in and committing crimes. That's real. He just redirects it back to the issues that matter. That is what a politician has to do, especially when the Democrats are doing everything they can. I'm not saying Logan Paul is doing this. He brings up a question that is being talked about in the media, but it's because the Democrats want to distract from real issues. And Trump gives a little funny answer, and he says, let's get back to the real issues that are actually going to win me this election. Now, speaking of winning, you can win your morning routine when you check out Jeremy's razors. Jeremy's second-generation razors are here. They're the #1 bestseller on Amazon. The new second-gen razors are radically redesigned from top to bottom. The blades are sharper and longer lasting, providing you the smoothest shave every time. With Jeremy's, you have options like the Sprint 3, perfect for a quick, clean shave, while the new and improved Precision 5 is your go-to for an exceptionally smooth and close shave. So while the other companies spent their money on DEI, Jeremy's razors focuses on what really matters, delivering a superior shave. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to Amazon right now, grab one of these best-selling razors, and find even more great Jeremy's products. My favorite comment yesterday is from Jesus or Destruction. It's a good, fair name. Yeah, I like that. Who says, Biden wants to be a tough guy so badly. Biden is kind of a tough guy, actually. I don't care for the man, and I think he's a dreadful president and everything, but he is kind of a tough guy. The man has managed to sit toward or at the top of American politics for half a century. The man sent his, or at least was aware of, his crackhead son flying around the world, shaking down foreign leaders, trading on Joe's influence, and if Hunter Biden's texts and emails are to be believed, giving a cut to the big guy. Hunter putting Joe Biden's home address to receive wires of money from these corrupt business activities. Joe Biden is kind of a tough guy. And he bullies people, and he's nasty, and he lies. He is kind of a tough guy. Now, he's failing. He's old, and he's frail, and he's senile. So he looks much weaker now. But he's a tough guy. Say what you want about Joe Biden. You can knock his intellect. You can knock his morals. You can knock his principles. You can knock anything about him. Tough guy. He's hung around a long time. He's a tough guy. Now, speaking of the issues that really matter, what are some of those issues that really matter? I want to get to one that hit the news, an issue near and dear to my heart. Business Insider has a report on it. House Republicans need a place to smoke cigars. And I know a lot about this story, actually. According to the headline, House Republicans say they, quote, desperately need a place to smoke cigars. House Republicans are facing yet another crisis. Here we are. This is reporting. It's meant to make the Republicans look bad, out of touch, maybe even a little silly, foppish almost. They need a place to smoke their cigars. Say it's only tangentially related to the business of crafting and passing laws. They need a place to smoke cigars near the House floor. Until recently, they had one. Representative Tom Cole, a long-serving Oklahoma Republican with a penchant for cigars, had provided space for such activities as chair of the House Rules Committee, which meets on the second floor of the Capitol. The Rules office was a great place, Cole told Axios, but I'm not the chairman anymore, so he lost his office, so now where the cigar smoker is going to smoke. According to a Pennsylvania representative, Guy Reschenthaler, he says, there's no better time to build a relationship than over a cigar. You can actually have a long conversation with somebody, and it really leads to building bridges. Very true. And there is such a thing as the Congressional Cigar Caucus. I know this because Congressman Reschenthaler actually played a role in the creation of Mayflower cigars. So I keep meaning to get a box of these cigars over. I got to make sure it's within the ethics limits or whatever they limit, but I want to get the Congressional Cigar Caucus some Mayflowers because one of the untold aspects of the Mayflower cigar story is that I was backstage once on the Mike Huckabee show, and Congressman Guy Reschenthaler was also backstage. He was on the show that night, and he comes up to me and he goes, Knowles, you're a cigar guy, right? I say, yeah. He was like, oh, well, I'm in the Congressional Cigar Caucus. I got to, and I guess Guy has some campaign cigars or something. He says, yeah, you got to try one of my campaign cigars or this, that, or that. We get to talking. And I say, yeah, I'm actually thinking about starting a cigar company. This was right around the time it was going to kick off. And I picked his brain on the cigar industry and, different factories and things like brands and, all sorts of stuff. Cigars and politics. And he said, well, in this Congressional Cigar Caucus. And he gave me some advice that actually did help lead to the creation of the Mayflower Cigar Company. And I still haven't made it to the Congressional Cigar Caucus. I look forward to it, though. I recently saw a member of that caucus, another member of Congress came by, made sure that he gets to try out some Mayflower cigars. And it's important. So why is it important? Why is Guy saying that there's no better time to build a relationship than over a cigar, especially for conservatives? Because many reasons, but one, it forces you to sit down for 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour and a half. It forces people who are very busy, politicians are real busy, to sit down and talk. And it's relaxing, gives you something to focus your mind on. You cut the cigar, you light the cigar, the taste of the cigar, so that you're a little more relaxed. I'm not even saying you're relaxed from the nicotine. You're more relaxed from the act of doing that. And you can speak a little more freely. And the other thing about cigars is it seems like a vice while not being a vice. Anything, I suppose, taken to excess could be a vice. Broccoli could become a vice if you're gluttonous about it. But it doesn't change your mind. It's not like you get drunk on cigars. It's not like you get high from cigars. It seems like it's a vice, which is great. It lowers the temperature. But it's not really a vice. I don't know how the Democrats hang out. They probably, I don't know what they do. They probably smoke a bunch of pot and go to orgies or something. But Republicans don't want to do that. Republicans want to be orderly, but you have a nice cigar. Maybe you have a drink with it. Maybe you don't have a drink with it. but it allows you to get things done because politics is about relationships. It's about people, especially if you're talking about the House of Representatives. That's supposed to represent the appetitive part of the government, the part of the government associated with pathos, with the desires of the people. That's why they run for office every 2 years. They're the closest to the people. They need a spot. They need to smoke their cigar. It's very important. It's a fun recreation. I like doing it, but it serves a political function. The smoke-filled back rooms get a bad rap because they were disconnected from the people, and it was, secret deals. And some would argue actually the government ran better when we had smoke-filled back rooms. But the reason they get their bad reputation is because they were back rooms, not because of the smoke. The smoke is very conducive to politics, at least the civilized kind of politics. And we need to get the House Republicans a good spot to smoke their cigars, and they need to smoke Mayflower cigars, if you ask me. Call your congressman. Let them know. Speaking of other pressing issues, I guess the big issue, the big one that is shaping the elections in the United Kingdom right now, shaping the European Parliament elections, and it very likely will shape the 2024 election. Immigration. Can't get away from it. Even libs like Bill Maher are acknowledging this could really hurt the Democrats.
Voters keep saying over and over again, we are not comfortable with this level of immigration. I understand why. It doesn't make you a racist to say that. And yet, the liberal parts of, certainly in America, Alex Padilla said last week, he is our senator here, by reviving Trump's asylum ban, Biden has undermined American values. And then they all stand back and go, we don't want to be called a racist, so we will not make a move on immigration. It's going to get them at Election Day. It's happening in Europe right now. That proves it in Europe, and it's going to happen here in America. It happened with Brexit. It's going to happen again.
I think Bill Maher is totally right if the election is fair and square. Knock the Brits all you want, but they seem like they're able to run pretty fair and square elections, and their election season is much shorter than our election season, in part because they have regulations around it. And the same goes for even continental European elections. Frankly, same goes for South American elections. These places that very often they don't even use electronic voting machines. They use old-fashioned pen and paper ballots. They're able to get results that night. And the election seasons are a lot tighter. When they're a little more fair and square and you got election watchers and you've got integrity, immigration is a big issue and it really damages the liberals and the globalists. Which does raise a question here. I wish I could give attribution. I forget who raised this point on X the other day. But someone made the point, whenever I think of it, I'll give attribution. You got to ask yourself, what are the electronic voting machines for? They're not for speed of figuring out who won. The pen and paper ballots are able to do that a lot faster. For us now, it takes us days and weeks to count all the ballots. It's not for election security. We don't even take IDs anymore in a lot of places. In fact, it's illegal to ask for an ID at voting locations in a large parts of the country. It's not for, is it so that we know that, I don't know, the people who are permitted to vote, just their ballots can't be falsified? Well, of course they can. They're much more likely to be falsified on an electronic machine that can be hacked than on a pen and paper ballot. No, what is it for? It would seem to me that it is for rigging elections. That's all it. What's the benefit? What's the other benefit? I don't see it. So that's the part Bill Maher is leaving out of his analysis here. What if they can just kind of rig it a little bit? They've said that Trump is Hitler 2.0. They're willing to upend the whole political order and imprison the guy. There's nothing they won't do. They're trying to throw the guy in prison. You can't tell me there's anything that they won't do that's beyond their lust for power. Much more to say, but today's Tee Tuesday. And we've got to get to the Membrum Segmentum. And I actually have a joke to tell in the Membrum Segmentum. The show continues now. You do not want to miss it. Become a member. Use code Knowles at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans.